It's very hard to find to really. I have no sense of where we go from here because we're now just starting to see the stories come out about the implications of the sequester, but they're all essentially aggregated stories of local stories. I mean, the one thing that has become clear to me about this sequester, there's two things I think that have become clear to me. One is that if we take Gene Sperling at his word, the head of or one of the chief economic advisors to President Obama, that the sequester was designed to force a grand bargain. Right? I mean, he
Yes.
told this to Bob Woodward. He said it on his Reddit AMA that the idea behind the sequester is that the Republicans wouldn't be able to stomach it. They would be forced to come to the table. We'll be willing to offer entitlement cuts to make it easier for them to swallow increased revenues in the form of higher taxes on the wealthy and get rid of some tax expenditures like maybe the home mortgage deduction for the wealthy, maybe carried interest loopholes, et cetera, et cetera. There's two things that come out of that, in far as I'm concerned. Is one, they really wanted to get to entitlement reform, which we've already talked about, and two, they're not very good at this. I mean, because they failed to. It is one thing to say, okay, I have a disagreement with the administration as to where we should be getting to. Okay, that you should design a mechanism to get to entitlement reform and raising revenues. I can disagree with their agenda there, but they also failed to even execute that. And so now we're stuck with the sequester. They blew the politics on the sequester because they didn't understand that. And 2 months ago, I think we were talking, I think we had this conversation of the sequester is going to hit. The polling shows that the Republicans are going to get blamed for it. The problem is that will the American public be conscious of it in a way that they're blaming the Republicans can happen? And it seems like now, short of a piece in the Huffington Post by Sam Stein and Amanda Turkle, and then a piece, I think, on BuzzFeed today about the implications of the sequester on one military personnel, there's very little reporting and very little way for the national media to cover this story because it's so localized.
I agree, and I don't think, look, there's going to be anecdotal stories of, you hear the odd, Michelle Bachmann, whining because in her district something's happening and then saying, but we need to cut, but just not here. There's this sort of, sequester NIMBYism, I think Brian Buehler called it, which I think is kind of a good term. And, maybe this is going to grow and, we'll get this. What I suspect, however, is happening is that what you're finding is a lot of pressure behind the scenes from major corporations and certainly from defense contractors to, deal with these things quietly under the radar. We're already seeing there are reports that, they have already mitigated some of the defense cuts, which both Democrats and Republicans want, of course, although that was supposed to be the big roadblock that would bring the Republicans to the table the minute that the defense cuts happened. Well, that's a bipartisan thing. That's not just Republicans. There's a huge faction of the Democratic Party that is very supportive of these defense contractors, plus the administration. I mean, that they have said quite clearly, we will not, in fact, Obama said that he couldn't back Simpson-Bowles, not because of the Social Security cuts, obviously, but because of the defense cuts that they proposed. So that was always kind of a phony construct there, that this was going to be the Republican motivator. So what they're doing is behind the scenes, they're whittling away at this. I mean, this has already happened with the continuing resolution. They had, they did some tweaks there to offset some of those defense cuts. So, I can see that happening where under the radar, the big, the big interest, the big special interest, working away at it while the government expenses that are directly attributable to government, say, shutting down an airport terminal or, doing the kind of things that really inconvenience people, that may become more obvious, but, they're going to blame the government, right? I mean, did they blame Republicans for this?
Right.
No, I don't know. I mean, maybe, but I think what they do blame is that the government's dysfunctional. Oh, how we hate the government, and what group is it that makes a profit at that particular, that particular attitude?
The only way it seems to me for the Republicans to pay any type of political price in these situations is if they are challenged in specific House races for voting for the sequester, essentially.
Yes.
And it ruining, like, okay, and now the sad thing is that we see, stories of some of the more prominent stories I'm seeing are a lot of cuts to things like Head Start, a lot of cuts to food programs for the poor, essentially programs that have very little constituencies anyways, or at least I should say very weak or not politically powerful constituencies. And so when you get like, okay, they shut down our regional airport, then maybe you can see an opening for a challenger in the 2014 election to come in and say, you voted for this. You're the one who's hurt, I don't know, Kalamazoo's economic development because they've shut down our regional airport or whatever it is. And that is not the stuff that you can nationalize a campaign on.
No, but that is something that you can do in a local campaign. And by the way, Sam, unfortunately, it wasn't just Republicans who voted for the sequester.
Right.
I mean, there are a lot of Democrats who are going to be on the line for this thing too. And I would guess that when it comes to stuff like Head Start or caring about actual human beings instead of big, corporate interests, that they're going to get hit with a bunch of lugubrious, sanctimonious Republicans saying, look what you've done to the people. These Democrats are going to get hit weirdly from the left by the right. And they're going to pay a price for that because, I don't think that Republicans are going to have any compunction whatsoever about running against Democrats on an issue that they themselves would have undoubtedly voted for if they'd had the chance. Although there were some Republicans who voted against the sequester too. They were the hardcore, super, far-right types like Michelle Bachmann, who basically wanted to have default on the debt,
Right.
But a lot of Democrats voted against the sequester, too. It shouldn't be said that was not a majority of Democrats. Many Democrats voted against it, and for the right reasons. They kind of saw the handwriting on the wall here and recognized that it was not a good idea to be playing, games with these programs that are very, very important to real human beings in a time of economic distress. I mean, it's not like these are good times and everybody can just, we'll make up for it. We'll move some money around or something. I mean, this is all these states are very cash-strapped, and this is not an easy thing for them to deal with. Having said that, though, what I see coming along the pike is that, the pressure is going to be on those liberal Democrats. They're going to be the ones who are going to be asked at some point down the road here to make the grand bargain if John Boehner can find enough Republicans to and get them to agree to let him bring it to the floor.
That is the thing is that people talk about the what a wonderful victory that the Hastert rule being that no bill will be brought to the floor if it doesn't have a Republican majority supporting it. The wonderful aspect of the Hastert rule being broken and trashed forever, as if anybody cared about that at all.
And is that going to hold? I mean, my understanding was that when they agreed to do it on the fiscal cliff deal, that they extracted a pledge that he would not do it.
Well, there were two other instances, and they escape me at the moment, where we have seen the Hastert rule not in effect over the past 3 months.
Yeah,
and
I
can't remember. But the point being is that when this grand bargain, and this story, I think it was in the the Wall Street Journal. The White House is strongly considering including limits on entitlement benefits in its fiscal 2014 budget. So they're thinking about even sort of like, you're not going to accept the grand bargain. We're going to force feed you these cuts. We're going to force feed you these cuts to entitlements, and you're going to love it. I mean, this is the Republican wet dream, right? I mean, we're going to get cuts to Social Security and Medicare to take back to our thing, and we're going to be able to say the Democrats did it. And And so this is the wet dream. But the bottom line is that they will also include what would be a poison pill for Republicans, that being any type of revenue increase via loopholes or whatever, new taxes, whatever we want to call it. And it is going to be incumbent upon a large number of Democrats to join with a smaller number of Republicans in the House to pass this bill. So it's basically going to be not only are we going to cut entitlements, not only going to hurt the people who are getting these benefits, not only are we going to hurt the brand of the Democratic Party, but in 2014, you're going to have to run against Republicans who said you voted to cut Social Security. And the question is, do the Democrats in the House have the sense, both politically and, frankly, morally, and in terms of just sheer economics, have the sense to say, we're not going to go along with this grand bargain? Are they going to break from the president here?
I don't know. It's obviously not, if precedent is meaningful in any way, you don't want to be too sure of this. Nancy Pelosi has clearly come out in favor of the chain CPI, which is very bad news. On the other hand, there's been two letters that have been circulated to the president, one of which done by Alan Grayson, by Congressmen Grayson and Takano, which says we just won't vote for anything that includes cuts to Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Period.
And you couldn't even get the full Progressive Caucus to sign on to that. I think there's only about 35 members.
They have a lot, and there are more signing on as time goes on. But it wasn't like a big rush.
No.
Let's just put it that way. There's another letter which has a lot more,
wiggle room.
Wiggle room, where they're saying, we are against this, we are opposed to it, which, whatever. I mean, that could mean anything. I mean, but my personal feeling is that we have a different situation here than, a lot of people harken back to the healthcare debate in which the progressives, pledged that they wouldn't they wouldn't sign on to any deal that didn't include the public option, and they reneged on that. But this is different because the public option was an advance, right? I mean, that was something we wanted to get. It wasn't actually taking away something that we already had. And indeed, the argument made to progressive Democrats, and it was a compelling argument at the time, was that this expansion of the Medicaid program was as significant as anything that had happened since the 60s, and it was. And that's a straight-up government program. There's no private insurers involved in that, or there wasn't.
There wasn't at the time.
Maybe recently.
Right.
But at the time, the idea was, look, this is a huge public program, and it's for some of the neediest people that we have, the working poor. You can't, are you really going to walk away from that because you didn't get something that you wanted, some advance? That's one argument. This is different. We have two hostages here. We have the elderly with Medicare and Social Security, and we have Medicaid, which is that very program that they were sort of, pressured into accepting in the healthcare debate. Those are on the chopping block, or you've got today the Head Start kids, the people on, S-CHIP and these various other programs that are being squeezed by the Sequester. So essentially what's happened is that the Democratic establishment, including the White House, is telling liberal Democrats, we're shooting a hostage, and this is Sophie's choice here. You pick. We're going to shoot the Head Start kids today, or are we going to shoot the elderly tomorrow? But somebody's going to get shot. Now, to my way of thinking, and maybe this is just me being a dirty, hippie, scruffy blogger, but to me, that's when you walk away from. There is no upside there. And I do not see why Democrats, I can't find the logic that allows me to say that you should, accede to one of those.
I would add that the other aspect that is different is you're no longer running on President Obama's coattails.
Exactly. And by the way, Sam, these Democrats, where possible, will be attacked from the left. They will get primary challengers if they sign away Social Security. I guarantee that wherever there is one, and there may be more than otherwise would have happened if they do this, because some people may be compelled to run, they're going to get attacked from the left in primaries. And whether they win or not, incumbents usually do win, that they will be softened up by the left on this Social Security matter, at which point their right-wing challenger, not an incumbent, no voting record to defend, will come in and attack them from the right. on Social Security cuts. Democrats are going to get it really hard on this. This is going to be a very difficult vote. They should know that. They should know what kind of attack they're going to face. This is huge. They didn't call it the third rail for nothing. You know,
Right.
this is the most dangerous ground you can trod for a Democrat to do it. I can't even imagine why they're contemplating it. Honestly, it should just be, no, we're not doing that. It should just be no. I don't know what you've been smoking, but please just, put it away, because this is not going to happen. But here we are, and I hope they're ready for it if they do it. And I still believe that that's the only way this can pass. I don't think Republicans are not going to carry the load on this. They're going to make the Democrats do it. That's the whole point here.
Right.
And they've got the White House on board. All they need to do is get a majority of Democrats in the House and a large faction of the Senate, and I don't think there's any doubt they can get a majority there. Maybe there'd be a filibuster. I don't know. But, another story. But, this could end up, falling on the Democrats' shoulder, that they, and for some reason the White House thinks that this is a great legacy-building thing, that everybody, despite the fact that it's like 90%.
I actually don't think that they're wrong about this. I mean, for the White House, I don't think that they're wrong, because, whether it's a week after the Obama presidency is over or 5 or 10 years, it's still going to be, the media is still going to be dominated by people who don't give a crap at the end of the day about, some people getting, whatever, 5-10% less on their Social Security benefits. They don't care that some people are going to have to work longer. It's just not an issue for them. And so I think that's the, and I don't know how cynical they get in the White House to perceive that. It could just be that is what they understand, but I think, and rather they don't break it down in the same way that, you or I might, that the establishment is never going to punish a Democrat for making government less responsive to the people, that they're actually going to reward that Democrat. I mean, that's the whole story here, right? Is that if you are anyone from David Gregory through just about anybody else in the media, short of a couple of hosts on MSNBC, and not even the majority of their contributors, I would say, if you somehow manage to keep people from getting something from government, and you're a Democrat, then that puts you in the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely. Certainly, the villagers will reward the Democrats for doing this. There's no doubt about it. This is what they love more than anything. On the other hand, I have to say that I think that legacies are built by specific people. Your enemies, of course, will do everything they can to create the legacy that they want, and I think we can expect that they will not be, the right is not going to be kind to Barack Obama, whether or not, he ordered the killing of Osama bin Laden, and they still hate his guts. So it's hard to see how he could do anything, and including this, that they would approve of. So I think we can feel sure that they're going to write his legacy as one of abject failure, horror, and complete, communistic usurpment.
Yes, this will be the dark period of no pun intended.
The dark period of in more ways than one.
Of American politics for them.
Right, but on the and yes, there are the media will have its first draft of history, which we've seen many. Well, I'm old enough. You probably aren't, but I'm old enough to have seen their first drafts that they don't always hold up. Because the other side that has to write it is the supporters, and Barack Obama has a lot of affection, and still among Democrats. I think that they generally like him. I suspect, however, that over time the liberal faction will fall away if he manages to get this Social Security or quote entitlements cuts through. And without that, he's going to have a problem writing a liberal legacy. I think that he does need to have those people on his side. And to be fair to him, he does have a liberal legacy. It already exists. He's got one. It's called Obamacare, and he has been very I shouldn't say very, but he has been the president in power who shifted the White House stance on gay rights through Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and then his personal shift on gay marriage. And both of those things are significant. They're substantial achievements, and that's on his record. Obamacare, we don't know what's going to happen, but we do know that he managed to get a health care reform passed, and that's significant. He doesn't need this. The reason he's doing this entitlement thing is for those villagers, those
Right.
people who, he's
Absolutely.
afraid of that liberal legacy and needs to mitigate it somehow, I think, by doing something that, these centrists and these, basically establishment elites, whatever they are politically, that they will give him credit for doing something that was really hard, that was going to, as he puts it.
I'll tell you, I think the thing that we need, because I still contend that if I was them and I was worried about my legacy in that manner, and that was the most important thing to me, I would just look and say, like, these are the guys who are going to get the book deals. The villagers are the ones who are going to get the book deals. They have the platforms to sell them. I mean, somebody's got to get a book out right now. Do a Woodward version of how things fell apart, just sort of anticipating this cut, but these cuts to entitlements. But hope springs eternal. Get on that
That's
book,
a good
Digby.
idea, Sam. You should write
I was
it.
just gonna say, Digby, I don't have the time right now. I got a baby at home. You gotta get on that book. Let's do this.
I've been wondering if there was something out there. Yeah, I'll write the dystopian future of Barack Obama's legacy. That ought to sell, huh?